I'm totally in agreement with Mike Masters, who I know you've interviewed, that the strongest hypothesis, I think, about what is underlying the real core of the UFO phenomenon. I mean, I think there's a lot of deception and psyop stuff going on too, but if the real core there probably involves, very likely involves time traveling, humans, or involves time traveling technology at the very least.
Yeah.
And if so, then all the things that we can start to understand about time travel just from our own experience and from, that is to say, our own precognitive experiences, and all these things that we were talking about, like time loops and the ways in which stuff from the future influences stuff in the past, and in a way that history is self-consistent. Those same factors are gonna be really important in time travel and in our development of time traveling technology. We already talked about the quantum computer sort of step towards that. I think that technology of communicating across time is going to kind of cause an acceleration, a technological acceleration towards more advanced technology and towards probably solving these problems of physical time travel. But I think time travel is hugely important, and so yeah. I mean, if there's a place to look for time travel besides quantum time traveling information, it's probably the UFO phenomenon.
Mm-hmm. And maybe there's something about biology that is a porting of something that's a little more probabilistic or quantum, and maybe biology becomes vestigial in the future. And actually what we're interacting with is some sort of kind of quantum code or something that's unbound by biological constraints. Because I think about your model of time loops, and you're kind of glitching into some like information layer of the future or whatever. But the Mike Masters thing is like, you're literally seeing these like beings that are like from the future. And those are two very distinct things. And you could find some sort of like, biological matter transporter, but maybe more likely we just become these sort of quantum information systems or something that can, I don't know, time edit at will and, kind of show up at will and almost be more information theoretic, like in a John Wheeler model of the universe or something than, us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's all kinds of possibilities. I mean, I'm just, one of the, it's like one of the premises, like we talked about the peripheral, it's like at one point in the story, this, guy in the future, the user in the future, sends, so it's the character in the 20th century, she happens to work at the local 3D print shop. Okay. And so he sends her instructions to 3D print this, future technology headset that enables her to like visit the future in an avatar and stuff like that. But that idea of 3D, printing out information in the present based on information from the future is going to be part of this, this halfway house basically to time travel, in the sense that, you could have, say, a drone operator in the future, control a drone in the past, and, that's been built from future technology, but with present capabilities of a 3D printer, you could essentially have a future, time drone essentially, flying around that's under the control of someone in the future, via, an existing, 3D or the existing quantum, server, so we're going to start seeing really interesting phenomena the moment the first quantum computers come online. And of course, the idea that maybe they're already online, in deep black programs somewhere, there's that, it's an interesting variant of the idea of a flying saucer coming through a wormhole, into the past. You could have a flying saucer that's been built in the present based on information from the future, and that's maybe even controlled by someone in the future via a quantum server. There's just all kinds of possibilities that I think we need to start thinking realistically, not just about, these high strangeness UFO encounters, but think about, well, what are the possibilities? What are the things that we're going to do when we have these technologies, maybe in a few years?
Yeah.
What are the effects that's going to have on society? What are the phenomena that we're going to start encountering in daily life because of this new relationship to our future when we have quantum computer servers that we leave plugged in, for years, decades, centuries? That's going to be transformative. If anything, that, I think of the idea of the singularity, the sort of brink after which human history becomes unpredictable. Well, I think that, it's not spiritual machines that are going to do it. It's this time traveling technology that comes from, or this informational time traveling technology that comes from quantum computer servers that are going to allow this new relationship to our future. And it could be incredibly destabilizing. It's like the first people to use these devices are going to get very rich by predicting stock fluctuations and all that. So I don't know, but
when we talked earlier about somebody having a premonition of a car crash and that being sort of adaptive because that's based on this like really important survival mode for them that, they have to be cognizant of that when the event possibly is about to occur. So they swerve out or whatever. I had the thought that on a kind of a more macro scale, when it comes to humanity, these UFOs seem to show up consistently around nuclear sites.
Yeah.
And so if you were trying to find kind of the Archimedes lever, like the point of most leverage for affecting timelines when it came to humanity, you would probably go straight to nuclear sites.
Yeah.
And so maybe that points to these things pushing us towards some teleology.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the point of time travel is, or one of the points of time travel is not going to be, people think of this in terms of, again, changing timelines and stuff. I think that's not the way to think about it. I think, you can go into the past and you can do stuff in the past and have effects, and you can plant the seeds for things that you will then harvest in the future. So, you can go into the past and affect things shape things in a way that will then pay off for you. You can plant, the way I put it in my second book is you can plant seeds in the past for a better tomorrow. A simplistic example that I use, it's, there's all kinds of problems with this thought of experiment, but just, go with me, so say you have a quantum computer server that's, that you leave plugged in from from now until, for centuries. And it's connected to, 3D printers, big 3D printers, industrial 3D printers. And say you're working for, you're an astronomer in the 22nd century, and you discover, an asteroid that's on collision course for Earth. And it's, you've detected it too late to intervene, to send a rocket to deflect the asteroid. But you have a quantum computer that's connected to 3D printers on the moon's far side, say, and you send an instruction to print out a rocket, 30 years in your past and launch the rocket. And so it, when you detect the asteroid, but there's a rocket right there that destroys it because you launched it in the past. That kind of scenario, there's all kinds of ways in which that kind of logic can be incredibly useful for obvious reasons, not just in amassing huge wealth, but in, solving problems that ordinarily take too long to solve. If you can recruit the past to help you solve that problem. Or say, pandemics, say, there's this, a new, virus is discovered that's, super deadly, but you can, and it's going to be a huge pandemic unless you do something quickly. Well, you can, use the same setup to do kinds of all the needed trials and drug development, 10 years in the past, so that the vaccine is ready by the time the virus, presents itself. That kind of, using the past to solve problems in the present that wouldn't be soluble otherwise, because they just take too long. Not just because it's a computer, not just because it's a mathematical problem that requires too many years of number crunching, but because you actually need people and machines and infrastructure to deal with the problem, that takes time. So that kind of thing, again, this is why I see this kind of intermediate technology towards physical time travel being like super important in coming years, with quantum computation.